I'm Stephen Hicks, Executive Director of CEE, and with us today is Dr. William Kline, who's Assistant Professor of Liberal Studies at the University of Illinois in Springfield. Professor Kline is a philosophy professor primarily, and he specializes in business ethics, which is why we invited him here to Rockford College to speak to the business ethics class earlier this evening. Now, Professor Kline, in your approach to business ethics, you take issue with the usual statement that business ethics is a contradiction in terms, or that it's an oxymoron, and also what might be referred to as the negative approach. The business ethics is primarily about focusing on the Enrons, the Bernie Madoffs, all of the scandal cases, and a kind of an unrelenting litany of problems in business as representative of what business is all about. What's wrong with that approach to business ethics?
Well, one of the things that struck me is I was teaching business ethics at the time that Enron happened and Tyco, and everybody wanted to talk about that. Everybody, every time you ask, oh, what about WorldCom? And you had, and just in terms of corporations, not in terms of business overall, but on the New York Stock Exchange, something like 3,000 listed companies. And on the NASDAQ, I believe something on the order of 5,000, and I might be short on that. It might easily be higher than that. Right. So we're talking 8,000 businesses, and 5, did bad things. That's actually a pretty good record.
Okay.
And so why not talk about the 7,995 good cases that have gone right and what we can learn from that, rather than the same old boring story that somebody pilfered the company funds and ran off to some exotic location, which we all know is wrong. I don't need business ethics to tell me that's wrong.
Is it your point, though, that we can't learn from the negative cases just as a doctor can't learn from the disease cases, but that we have more to learn from the good cases or the successful cases?
I hear what you're saying. It's not that we can't learn from the negative cases. Of course, you need rules to protect property, contract. I think there's real issues with what stock ownership entitles you to, and that those rules need to be worked out. But they just get overemphasized, and nobody's looking at all the good that happens through business, and specifically the individual good when you decide to enter business, or a business person decides to enter business, how that might be conceived of as morally good.
And here a major theme was putting your business life, including your choice to go into business, this approach to business, or this particular business, in the context of your life overall, an emphasis on the good life in a very Aristotelian sense. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I think, and quite frankly, I think it's tragic. I've had students graduate now. I've been teaching long enough, and I've had students who've gone into things that they've loved, and students who've gone into things that they've hated. And this notion that, well, here's my business and professional life, that's totally separate from my personal life. It's totally separate from the good things I do in the world. It's its own entity, and I don't find that works that often. I think that's such segmenting of one's life it doesn't. The happiest people I met are the people who've incorporated their business life into their broader goals, their broader aspirations, see it serving a purpose within their lives. And so that's how I want to talk about business ethics. And in an Aristotelian version of it, what we want to talk about is a flourishing life. And that requires taking a holistic approach to one's life, including business in that.
Right. So if you then say what are the constituent elements of a flourishing life, and then once we articulate what those are, we can then place one's business activities in the context of that. Many of the same things carry over to that. So if we were then to ask in an Aristotelian sense, updating Aristotle, what is a flourishing life, or what are the major constituent elements here? You had a list of 6 features, I believe. Not that we have time to talk about all of them, but what are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, let me just take a few. What we're talking about is in order for us to flourish as beings, we have to recognize certain both constraints on what we are and what we can't do, but also certain abilities that we possess and that need exercising. As Mill said famously, right, to be Socrates dissatisfied is better than being a pig satisfied. And quite frankly, I think part of the reason for that is really to live a life of a pig is either exceedingly boring, or if you look at people who've lived purely hedonistic lives, it's quite self-destructive. So the question is, on the Aristotelian line, is given the kind of being I am, how can I do well in the world? What sort of guidance? And some of the characteristics of a flourishing life that we looked at today were that a flourishing life, there has to be some sort of standard for flourishing conduct, something that goes beyond my preferences, something that goes beyond my whims, some sort of guideposts to let me know when I'm doing better or worse. And one of those objective elements that I pointed out today, and one of these that we should consider, is the fact that the there's something fundamental about us and trading. Aristotle says that we're social creatures. Adam Smith says we have a natural propensity to truck and barter. This is not, I don't see why it's something we should deny. It's something that we should embrace. It's a good thing. When explorers go exploring and they want to make contact with new people, they take stuff to trade. Far better than just annihilating who you meet. And that trading's social. It's not antisocial, not at all. Once again, Smith points out that economic transactions are a way of communicating, a way of persuading, which I find highly interesting. If one took a Hayekian model, one could say it's a way to trade information. That's exactly what I'm doing when I'm trading price information. I'll take this for that much, and you'll take that for that much. This is a fundamental type of communication.
So if we were in the broader context, the constituent element of a human flourishing life is social. Right?
Yes.
The rich values that we get as social beings interacting with each other. That then carries over right into the business world, which is essentially social through trade. And we're trading lots of things, right, back and forth. And we're productive individuals trading with each other to mutual benefit. And that the point that you're making then is that business is tapping something deeply social, right, in us.
Absolutely.
And positively social as a constituent then, right, of the good life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people recognize that when they meet at the local club that they're being social. People recognize when they meet on Facebook they're being social. People aren't as apt to recognize the fact that when you meet to trade, whether it's in a bazaar or a Walmart, you're actually being social.
Okay. All right. However, disinterested in how much you might not know about the particular people rather that you're trading with.
Right, but that's a good thing too. I don't need to know everything about somebody to trade. I can productively engage in a fun social interaction that mutually benefits both of us, and I need not worry about what religion you are, what political beliefs you had. How horrible it would be if I had to litmus test everybody on their political views or religious views before I interacted with them.